Greetings and salutations! I hope this video finds you well. Joe Collins here. It is Monday, February the 24th, 2020, and I find myself with a bit of downtime, so I figured I would just ramble on for a little while and talk about things that are happening in and around the YouTube channel. Talk about things going on in my life. If that is something that you find interesting to listen to, grab yourself a beverage and kick back and relax. I have myself a nice glass of iced tea here, and I need a sip. Very good indeed. Thank you very much. Lipton makes good tea. No commercial endorsement whatsoever. All right. First thing I want to talk about is the YouTube channel itself. I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers because we have gotten a whole bunch of them lately. In the last 6 months or so, we have been averaging 1,500 new subscribers every month. It goes up, it goes down. We had a peak of about 1,700 in a 30-day period there for a while. That was amazing. Right now it says that we have 92,000.4 subscribers. By the time you see this video, it'll be past that. I'm going to guesstimate that it's right around 92,500 because it really depends when you look and where you look, what number you get. Now, if we hold onto this current trend, or if it gets better, it may happen sooner, but I'm thinking that sometime in late June or early July, we're going to cross the 100,000 mark. Now, what happens when you cross the 100,000 mark? You turn into a pumpkin. No, actually, YouTube just kind of acknowledges that you exist. They will send you this plaque to put on a wall, which has a play button in it, and you are now a YouTuber, whereas before, I guess you were a lesser YouTuber. So anyway, that's going to be happening soon. When I get to 100,000, I'm going to do a video where I'm going to tell everybody about all of the other YouTube channels that I watch, and I'm going to criticize each and every one of them by name. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I have never done that on this channel. I do not go after other people, but I think it would be kind of fun to roast some of the other YouTubers that have been very big and influential on me, and I will do it all in fun. But that's going to happen when I have 100,000 views, for sure. Not views, subscribers. Got more than 100,000 views. Whew. Got a whole bunch of views. Speaking of views, I want to talk about some of the videos we've posted since the beginning of the year. 4 of them are showing up right here. And it's funny because at the beginning of the year, I did this video where I said that in 2020, I probably would not do as many videos. And I haven't done one on a weekly basis or anything like that, but the videos I have done, they have been very well received. And I feel like that I've done better videos. And I think part of that is because I'm working another job, and they say that you do more, or you can do, the more you do, the more you can do. And I think that's what's going on with me because it's made my life a little bit more disciplined. For a long time, the only thing that I was doing was keeping up with the Easy Linux project, doing the YouTube channel, and then other things around the house. I wasn't doing anything that I had to do on a schedule, and now I have a schedule to follow. So it helps me to organize myself, and I do better videos. I think so, at least. Your mileage may vary, or you may have different opinions, however you want to look at it. So what I'd like to do is talk about the last couple of videos and just kind of give some feedback on your feedback. First of all, not every video on this channel is going to be about Linux because I have a life and I'm into other things. When this channel started, I was talking about audio equipment because that was the kind of the online clique I was in at the time, and that's been a lifelong passion, is music and records and CD players and turntables and tape decks and amplifiers and speakers and things like that. And the last video I did was about a Sharp CD player that I had picked up on eBay refurbished. The guy did a great job, by the way. The machine still runs perfectly and it sounds wonderful. And at the time when I posted this little video, I didn't know a great deal about it. I couldn't find a lot of specific information on the internet. Well, folks stepped up in the comments section. They answered all my questions. And I want to thank you for all the positive stuff. I now know what kind of DAC is in this thing. I know what the exact serial number is for the laser cartridge, all that kind of stuff that I didn't know in the video. And that was very cool. Really nice response on this video. Another video that I got a really overwhelming and nice response to was this introduction to the ext4 file system for Linux, which is essentially me just rambling on for a little while about the ext4 file system. Most people took the video for what it was, and they were happy with it. A few people, of course, came along and said that it was not what they were looking for, but they wanted to know more about how to set it up and tweak with it. And the truth is that I just was worried about just explaining what it was. I mean, that is something that you can find all over the internet as far as working with the system is concerned. My thing was just to introduce it to a lot of casual Linux users out there who maybe they don't understand that this is the default native Linux file system, and here's what it does, and here's how it goes. I got one comment not too long ago from somebody who said that they found the video to be, quote, astoundingly hard to follow because I didn't use enough diagrams. The diagrams that are in the video are the ones that I could find. That's it. There is not a whole lot out there. You're talking about a niche or niche subject, however you want to say that. And it is something that is difficult to get general information about. The information that's out there goes from general to, oh my God, I don't know what these people are talking about real fast. There's no in between. So I did the best that I could. I didn't get everything right. I made a few little mistakes in there. Like Minix, I spelled it wrong in the notes. It was, I spelled it M-I-N-U-X like Linux. Just habit, you know. Well, it's M-I-N-I-X. Of course, the typo police pointed that out. There was a point that I said something about very accurate timestamps on the screen, and that confused people. Some of them said, oh, the accuracy is years. Yeah, I know. Actually, my notes were talking about what comes later in the video in the stat command, where they have the really, really, really tightly controlled access times. And I thought I was looking at that screen, but I wasn't. I just got ahead of myself. And there's a couple of other things. Like I said, kilobytes when I should have said bytes. But these videos are never perfect. I mean, I don't have a staff of people doing it. I'm doing this myself when I get time to do the research and put them together. So they are what they are. And if I was perfect, they'd actually have to pay me something now, wouldn't they? So I thought it came out very well, and the overwhelming response to it was very positive. So thank you very much for that. And also, real quick before we move on, I want to talk about the video that I posted earlier about the PC Linux OS, where we did a thing where I loaded it up and poked at it for an hour in a virtual machine. Most of the people who watch those videos get what they're about, and it's just basically hanging out and looking at stuff. And I say at the beginning of the video, it's not a review. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm poking around. I'm going to make mistakes. But some people get really upset about that, which is fun in and of itself, because one guy said it was pitiful to watch me poke around the system. It's like, why is it pitiful? It's just that, because I'm, guys saying I'm an idiot. And I'm like, I told you I didn't know anything about it. There are literally 1,000 Linux distributions out there. Do you know everything about each one of them? I don't. And if you do, man, I know a lot about Ubuntu. I know a lot about Linux Mint. But when you get me off of that, I got to be honest, it's a learning curve for me. So anyway, but most of the response was very positive. Thank you very much. So I'm kind of amazed. Like I said, the channel just keeps going on like a juggernaut. Now, I am doing this other job, and I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about that as well, because it affects what happens here on the YouTube channel. And I want to just let you guys know that it's out there, because some of you might not have seen the videos that I posted back in November, where I was talking about setting up the system to be able to do this. So, the story is like this. I left radio in 2007. I was let go from the job that I had. I was the operations manager for a couple of radio stations in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And the company that I was working for had a management restructuring. That's what they call that. So basically, me and the general manager got fired. He was my boss. I was the second one down in the building, okay? I'm upper middle management. And they brought in some whiz kid to do it because they could pay him less. And anyway, since then, I looked for a job in radio for a long time and talked to a lot of people. Just never could find the right fit. Of course, that was bad economic times. Late 2007 was really bad in the radio industry. I mean, everybody knows about the banks falling apart in 2008, but actually all that crap started with the media companies. They were down to penny stocks in 2007. So that was a tough time to be looking for a job. I ended up doing other things, and I started this YouTube channel, and I've done freelance stuff through the years, and blah, blah, blah. I never thought I would get back into radio. I had given up. And then a friend of mine who I worked with at this radio station, B99.9, back in the mid-90s, actually bought the radio station. We worked together back then. We stayed in touch through all the years. And he calls me up and he says, man, I'm going to buy the radio station. And he did. And we talked about it. And then we talked about me coming to work there. And I can't leave right now because my kids are in school. And I don't want to uproot them. I would love to work at the radio station. It would be great. But I can't. So what we came up with was that I record my show every day, Monday through Friday. And it goes on the air at 7 o'clock in the evening. That's Eastern Time U.S., or we're on Standard Time now. We're soon to be on Daylight Time. And then you can listen to it too because we stream it all around the world. Just click the Listen Live button. Now, when I first talked about this, some folks tried to stream it and they couldn't get it in their country, and I can't help that. Your ISP may block something like that. But generally speaking, it's available worldwide. So if you want to check it out, you can. It happens 7 to midnight Eastern Time, U.S., and it is a radio show. It is not on demand. You can't go back and listen to it later. It's not recorded. This is just the stream is the icing on the cake. The real focus here is the FM signal, which serves several counties in Southwest Virginia. The beautiful thing about it is that the people listening to the radio station, they know what's in this little biography that's up here. They don't know anything about this channel. They don't know anything about Easy Linux. I get to be somebody else when I'm on there. I get to play a character and be another person, which is really a lot of fun. And you might say, well, why don't you promote this on the radio station? I just want to keep it separate. I really do. If you listen to the radio station and you happen to see the video, yeah, that's me. But I'm not going to make a big deal out of it because the radio thing is done for entirely different reasons. It's done because I want to do it. It's done because it's fun to me, and it is actually a break, even though it takes up more time than working on Easy Linux does these days. And I don't know. There's certain things I don't feel good about. You know, it's like people say all the time, why don't you put a Patreon? Why don't you get a Patreon account on this channel? Well, number one, there are tax reasons why I don't want to do Patreon. And number two is I don't need Patreon. And number three, to tell you the truth, I find it a little tacky. Now, I understand that there are a lot of YouTube creators out there that are relying on Patreon, and God bless you, but I don't need it, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not saying you're evil for doing it. I'm just saying for me, right now in my life, I want to keep my YouTube channel being about what I want it to be about, and I'm not worried about money. It's just that simple. Then the same thing goes that I get to be this other person when I'm on the radio station. The other thing that I have found out about radio, being away from it for 12 years, is that it's very repetitive. You say the same things again and again and again every night. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is fun in that you're trying to always find new ways to make this stuff fresh, and you don't want it to get stale, and you want it to sound cool and all that stuff. And in a way, it's sort of a brainless activity. For me, it's a lot of fun to be an announcer. I'm reading most of what I say, and so therefore I don't have to think. Whereas when I'm doing YouTube channels, I have to think. You can compare it to people who are line cooks in restaurants. You know, for a long time, I thought that would be a terrible job to have. I would never want to work in a kitchen in a restaurant that way because I'd be so bored. And what I didn't realize is that a lot of people that do that, especially in the more upscale restaurants, have a real passion for cooking, and they want to put out the best food that they can. And even if it's the same menu and they cook the same thing every night, it doesn't matter. They're doing this thing where they're creating. It's a craft. It's the same thing in radio. It took me a long time to figure that out, gang, that's what it was really the part of radio that I really liked. It wasn't the there was no glory in it. It wasn't an ego trip. It's not trying to be a star. It was just the doing it. I liked pushing the buttons and making it happen. So, really thankful to Eric and the staff at B99.9 for allowing me to come in and do this, because it wasn't easy to get this set up and get it rolling. The other thing about doing the radio thing was the fact that it allowed me to start working with Windows a little bit these days. There was a long period of time where I didn't work with Windows at all. The last Windows that I had installed was Windows 7. The software that I used to log into the radio station's automation system to be able to record the show, it's Windows. And no, it's not going to run in a virtual machine. It needs to be on hardware. So I actually have a machine sitting over here that's running Windows 10. The only thing I do with it is work. It does not have any personal data on it whatsoever. Not only that, it's not on my local network. It is separated completely from the Linux network. The only way that I can get data from that machine into a Linux machine is to either upload it to the AWS cloud that we have for the radio station and then download it, or I can take a thumb drive and stick it in the Windows machine and then move it over to the Linux machine. Other than that, I can't do it. And it's like that on purpose. But it is a Windows installation, and as long as I don't break it, because I absolutely need it to work every day, I can use it to look around and get a feel for things. And for a long time, I didn't have that. And I think it's important to know, even if you're an advocate of Linux, it's nice to know what's going on with other systems. And I'm not a Mac guy. I've never had a Mac. So it kind of makes me a better rounded person, I believe, honestly, to have it around and have to poke at it just a little bit, even though I don't like it all that much. Let's talk about Linux for a little while before we get rid of the video. The first thing that I want to talk about is this guy, and that is a Panda Wireless PAU09 N600 dual band wireless in USB adapter with dual antennas. It works on Windows, it works on Ubuntu, it works on Fedora, it works on CentOS, Kali, Raspbian, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And I had to buy one because I went through this experience where I kept dropping an internet connection on this machine. This has been happening off and on now for the last month or so, but in the last couple of weeks it got really bad. It was like this machine kept dropping the internet. And at first, to be honest, I blamed Ubuntu 19.10. I thought, this is a problem with Ubuntu 19.10. It's the same old bug that appeared before, and man, I even posted something on Facebook about that. So what I ended up doing, I reloaded the machine with Ubuntu 18.04, which is, of course, a long-term support version. Still had the problem. And then I realized, well, you dope, it's not the software and it's not the computer. It's probably the old Cisco dongle that you're using to get on Wi-Fi, because this T5400 Dell workstation I use, it didn't have any built-in Wi-Fi. So that's the only way to get it to work, right? And so I went ahead and ordered this, plugged it in. Well, guess what? This works fine. No problems. And I ended up having a reloaded machine, but that's okay too, because honestly, there's not that much difference for what I'm doing. So let me show you what I got running right now, and that is Ubuntu 18.04 with the GNOME desktop, and it is the vanilla version with, this is their tweaked GNOME desktop. This has proven to be very stable. I mean, extremely stable. I have this running on 2 other machines in the house, and I've never had an issue with it. Cindy's computer has been running Ubuntu 18.04, the vanilla version, with no major modifications since it was in alpha. So that's more than 2 years ago, and that machine has had nothing but regular maintenance and updates. I haven't done anything to it, and it runs beautifully. All I do is just check on it every now and again. Now, my mom is running Ubuntu Mate. Excuse me. A burp just popped right out. Ever happened to you? That can be embarrassing. Anyway, she's running that on her machine and has been for quite some time. And the thing about her machine is that it's totally stable as well. I went over to her house this last weekend. I hadn't been there since Christmas. So it's run about 7 or 8 weeks without me looking at the machine, not even paying any attention to it. And she does install her own updates, and of course she can call me if she has a problem. But I never hear problems with my mom. She's pretty resourceful. She's 78 years old. She uses Linux, and she does a lot of genealogy with it. She's not just your passive user. She's really into this stuff. Anyway, her machine, no issues whatsoever. Hadn't checked it in months, just chugging along. So Ubuntu 18.04 is extremely stable. It's been amazing. And I'm kind of looking forward to Ubuntu 20.04. We're going to see what that's like, but I can tell you what, I'm not going to be going around immediately upgrading everything because I don't know, man. I'm just afraid they're not going to be able to get it as stable as this is. I mean, it's not perfect. It has its issues, but it's been wonderful. Now, let's talk about the names of what I just talked about there, because they always give me a bad case of the red ass every time I mention them in a video. So the first thing I want to talk about is GNOME, the name of the desktop. And I know that this is a recursive acronym for something. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't care. And in the last year or two here, there's been a movement from the GNOME people that we should all start calling it GNOME. Now, I have mentioned this in past videos. I cannot bring myself to call this GNOME. I can't do it for several reasons. First of all, in the US and in Canada and the UK and in Australia and a lot of other English-speaking places in the world, when you say gnome, what you're talking about is the little garden creature fairy thing. You know, fantasy. They're not real. There's not really any gnomes, but like the traveling gnome, that commercial thing. Anyway, and all of a sudden to come along and try and tell everybody that you want to say, no, say GNOME because it's GNU, GNU. It's stupid, gang. That is really shitty marketing. Why are you doing that? I mean, that's the worst thing that you do is you've got a product, especially one that's been around for a long time. You can change the name of it completely, but don't all of a sudden tell people they're all pronouncing it wrong. It pisses people off. And every time that I hear a podcast on YouTube, something like that, where people are saying that, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. It's just, that is the dumbest thing. Now, I do realize that there are some countries over in Europe where in your language you're speaking, you may say GNOME. And that's fine. But we don't. And we've called it GNOME forever. And now that they want to change this, it just feels really stupid to me. Now, let's talk about stupid names number 2. The Mate desktop. M-A-T-E, with no accent over the E. Now, some people have a problem with the fact that I hate saying GNOME, but I will say Mate. The reason why I do that is because of Martin Wimpress, who is the head developer of the Ubuntu Mate project. That's the way he says it. The folks who forked GNOME 2, they were down in Argentina, I believe. And down there they have this thing called yerba mate or yerba mata or however the hell that's pronounced in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't do it. And so that's what they call the desktop. And so when Martin Wimpress got a hold of it and made his Ubuntu spin, he called it Mate, and that's what I've called it, and that's what I completely call it. And some folks actually get really bent out of shape about that. And guys, let me tell you what, arguing over how something is pronounced and constantly correcting people is a real turnoff to anybody who wants to use Linux. Yes, I'm recording a video. You just be quiet. Don't say anything. Nothing. You're thinking about talking. I'm looking at you. Your mouth is moving. It's my daughter. She just came home from school. Anyway, we're getting ready to wrap up. What was I talking about? Oh, dumb Linux names. It is a real turnoff to constantly correct people on how they pronounce stuff. Everybody around the world has different ways of talking. For instance, in Canada, what we call a decal in the United States, they call a decal. I watch a lot of Canadian YouTubers, and I notice these little things. And it's like in England, they have several words that are different than the way we pronounce them here in the United States. Like, for instance, I go to a public bathroom and pee in a urinal, and they go to a urinal. And we have controversy, and they have controversy. I think that's the way they say it. And we eat potato chips over here, and they call them crisps because their potato chips are what we call French fries. So people say different things all around the world, and I have learned dealing with people all around the world just to accept them and not try and correct people. Just because you say gnome doesn't mean that I'm wrong for saying gnome. And just because I say mate doesn't mean that you're wrong for saying mate. And we really need to get over this stupid stuff. I mean, even Gardner made a thing about these stupid names that we have in Linux. I will call them what I continue to call them. And if you get upset about me with it and you want to be nasty about it in the comments or on Facebook, I'll just delete you because you know what? I don't care. And I think it's stupid. So cut it out. That's my rant for this video. I just had to rant a little bit. Just a tiny rant. Just a little one. So anyway, it's just something I see every day. Every day somebody has something to say about the way you pronounce this or pronounce that. Dude, people pronounce things differently all over the world. As long as you can understand what they're saying, that's all that counts. Chill, relax, lighten up, have a nice life. Remembered a couple of things I wanted to say if I hadn't said them already. First of all, when I get to 100,000, I plan on doing a video about all the YouTubers, and I'm going to roast a bunch of them. It'll be tongue-in-cheek, but it'll be fun. That's going to happen when we get to 100,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, because that'll get us a little closer, and then you get to see me get myself in a lot of trouble. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that I had a post that I had posted on Facebook where I had installed the Mate desktop for a little while. I did. It worked okay on my machine, but I just always get drawn back to the GNOME experience, gang. I have Mate running on another one of my machines, it's like a server that's like a live backup machine, and it runs the Mate desktop, but I don't really interact with it much, so it's okay. And it works good for my mom and my brother and everybody else I've got on it, but I use it for a while, and then I just start missing GNOME, and I don't know why. Anyway, your feedback is always welcomed as usual, and you can check out EzeeLinux on the web, check out EzeeLinux on Facebook, check out EzeeTalk, which is our very own forum, and you can join up. It's fast, easy, and it's fun, and we've got some great moderators in there. We try and keep things nice and clean and fun, and we need some new blood in there. So go check that out if you would. Also, did I say give us a like on Facebook? I think I did. If you're a Facebook user, yes, go ahead. If you don't like Facebook, that's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to even think about it. You can just move on with your life, okay? Okay. All right, gang, I'm gone. Talk to y'all later.